Hello, and thank you for joining me on 8. I'm Maggie. And so, what we're doing here is this wonderful book called Excuses Be Gone by Dr. Wayne Dyer. We're doing a nice slow crawl through it. Why are we doing this book? Because it's a book on how to change lifelong self-defeating thinking habits. So if you even pick up one tool, and you'll probably pick up two, probably three, you could change your life. And since we're game changers, we're not just upgrading our lives, but we're upgrading all the lives around us. We really just, if you do the work will do you. And really, if you just work on you, by default, all things will shift, and what is inside is going to be outside. So you know how we peace in and peace out. We're going to be peace in, we're going to be peace out. We're going to be love inside, we're going to be love outside. We're going to be compassionate inside, we're going to be compassionate outside. We're going to be the highest order of values. So we are currently in part 3 of this book. We are in the 4th question, chapter 15, the 4th question. What would my life look like if I couldn't use these excuses? So, subtitle. Imagine your way to a life without excuses. I encourage you to actively examine the question, what would my life look like if I couldn't use these excuses? By giving yourself permission to let your imagination run wild. Okay, so this is the Josiah Brandt, Neville Goddard, Brian Scott chapter. So anyway, imagination. Envision something like a magical potion that doesn't permit you to think thoughts that have anything to do with excuses. And pay attention to what this visualization provokes within you. Okay, so if you will, close your eyes or open your eyes, whatever. Okay, envision this. Envision something like a magical potion, and that it doesn't permit you to think thoughts that have anything to do with excuses. And pay attention to what this visualization provokes. Okay. Here's my magic potion. Where's yours? Okay. Cheers. What would life look like? So let's drink our potions. Because like it says, I see myself and I see my reality. Okay. What would life look like? How would you feel? And what alternative thoughts would you have? Just take a moment to take that in. What would life look like? So we took our potion. It doesn't allow us to think negative thoughts. What does it provoke in you? What would your life look like? How would you feel? And what alternative thoughts would you have? And if you would so kindly, leave it in the comments. I'll take you through the exercise now. Using several of the excuses from the 18 item catalog to detail in chapter 3. So 1, it will be difficult and it will take a long time. These 2 similar excuses are frequently substituted for action. So for instance, if you're building a YouTube channel or writing a book, you might be employing this excuse that it would be too difficult or it would take too long. And what he's saying is you're going to substitute this for action. So now imagine that you're capable of creating these thoughts. In the same way you can imagine the mental activity of a jellyfish without ears or eyes that lives in the middle of the sea, neither can you conceive of a task being difficult or taking a long time. So if it were absolutely impossible for you to think this way, what would your life look like? You would start that YouTube channel now, today. You would start that podcast now, today. You would write that book now, today. Whatever it is you're doing, you would get that degree, that licensure. You would bake that cake. You would cook that meal. You would do that exercise now. So imagine that. And as Josiah Brandt says, and I keep, imagine wisely. This says, imagine wisely. Okay, so whatever it is that you'd like to accomplish, imagine wisely. Be it becoming an artist, creating your own musical composition, starting a new business, repairing your relationship with your parents or spouse or anyone else, building a new home, getting into physical shape, achieving anything at all. How would your world change if you couldn't even conceive of the idea that it would be difficult or take a long time? So you're actually watching me go through this as I build my channel, right? As I continue to learn, as I continue to speak, as I find my voice and I allow my gifts to come forward. Okay, and I know you're doing it too, in your way, in your world, in your whatever you're up to. So without these excuses, what would life look like? Oh, imagine that. It's a safe bet that you'd immediately initiate action, propelling you into the direction of the fulfillment of your dreams. You'd talk to others who had similar kinds of dreams and then emerge successfully. You'd have a lot of energy. Remember, we are high energy people. And you'd be actively engaged in the process of living the life you imagine. Imagine wisely. You'd attract synchronistic assistance and notice the right people, the right events, and the right circumstances persistently showing up. Why? Because you'd be acting like the source of all creation does. You'd be aligned with the universe that says, yes, you can, and give you the tools to prove it. And you'd have no hesitation or fear that something would be difficult or take too long. You'd happily do rather than explaining or complaining. And when we make our life something we want to wake up to, even if the journey is 1,000 miles and you're taking that first step, you're loving it because you're living, you're being, you're having your highest dream, gift, purpose. And like, it's fun in the process of birthing these new things. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see that, but imagine wisely. Okay, Josiah Brandt, School of Imagination. Make sure you check him out because he is the imagination king. Oh, but Brian Scott is too. So, okay. Yes, you can, and gives you the tools to prove it. And you have no hesitation or fear that something would be difficult or take too long, and you'd happily do rather than explain. Okay, you'd happily do rather than explain and complain. Yes. Okay, without these excuses, how would you feel? With these limitations completely out of the way, let me hazard a guess that you would feel ecstatic and finally completely on purpose. A sense of freedom would delight you because avoidance of your true dharma would no longer exist. You'd be doing your purpose. So you feel enormous contentment rather than worrying about what you're avoiding and where you're going. There would be no focus on your destination since too long would no longer exist to you. And now the journey would provide the success and happiness you desire, like the journey we are going on together. You'd experience a great deal of bliss because you'd be guided by your creativity and initiative rather than fear of disappointment, and joy would rule your life. And like the Bible says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Okay, without these excuses, what alternative thoughts would you have? Rather than focusing on what you can't do because it's difficult and takes a long time, you'd think like this. Light bulb. This is definitely something I can and will create for myself. I know I can do anything I put my mind to. I anticipate that this is within my ability to readily accomplish. I have no fear because I recognize that whatever guidance and assistance I require is available. I'm excited, thrilled, and elated after fulfilling this dream. I realize that the thoughts I have are meshed with enthusiasm and passion, and that nothing can stop me, nothing can stop me, and nothing can stop you. And in fact, I'm certain that whatever I need to actualize my dreams is already on its way. And I contently watch for what the universe sends me. Okay. 2, there will be family drama. Again, I'm suggesting that you see yourself as utterly incapable of coming up with this excuse. Imagine wisely that you can't conjure up even a single thought that forecasts any kind of familial disruption. So you can't. No imaginating. When you actually, I'm noticing when something starts to pop its ugly head up and it's wanting you to go down imagine lane of death, destruction, and despair, people dying everywhere, all that stuff, don't do it. Stop in the moment, take a breather, breathe, come into your body, and just know, like Reverend Ike says, right here and right now, I choose to be at peace. Right here and right now, I choose to drop negative self-identities. Reverend Ike has that right here, right now. You just say to yourself, right here, right now, I am going to do this. I'm going to imagine this healthy thought. And the moment of inception where you catch yourself wanting to go to the left, nothing's wrong with the left, but I'm just saying, you catch yourself going off the wrong side, stop, pause, breathe, and imagine wisely. I mean, this bracelet is really a great reminder. Imagine wisely. Don't imagine that negative thought form. Okay, imagine that you can't conjure up even a single thought that forecasts any kind of familiar disruption. Thinking in this way is equivalent to anticipating that your relatives are fine with whatever decision you make. You also absolutely will not experience resistance, criticism, hostility, and rejection. Your family is, and at the very least, neutral, and perhaps even indifferent. And there are no hassles or antagonisms and no drama for you to deal with. Without this excuse, what would you look like? What would life look like? And actually, what would we look like? Since you no longer have to consider the ramifications of your family, knowing the authentic you, your life would be exactly how you always wanted it to be. You'd never have to consult anyone whose opinion you didn't value. You choose the kind of work you prefer, study the subjects you wish to, live where you please, and come and go as you determined without a single moment of conflict or disapproval from your relatives. Disproving the popular saying, friends are God's way of apologizing for our relatives. Your family members would even become your close friends. Without this excuse, how would you feel? You'd feel free because no drama could never be a consequence of following your bliss. Take a second now to imagine your family enthusiastically encouraging every decision that you make concerning your life. Imagine that. This is how you feel every day if it was impossible to entertain the thoughts that are the basis of this excuse. With everyone around you at peace, you feel that soothing effect of a harmonious and supportive environment. Anxiety and worry would disappear, and you'd feel in charge of your inner world. And perhaps for the first time, you would feel safe. Feeling safe would replace all the fear of potential condemnation that force you to behave like such a good little family member, which actually makes you act bad. So the Bible talks about God's perfect love casts out all fear. When you really look at it, when people act in fear, they're acting in a way to be punished. And I'm going to tell you, love is not fear. It's on, if you're looking at Hermetic codes, it's on the same bandwidth and it's on the opposite pole. But perfect love casts out all fear. So look for that sensation. Without these excuses, how would you feel? The most notable feelings you'd experience. Oops, sorry about that. Wrong place. Okay, here. I'm free to pursue any line of work, live in any location, and just plain live my life. And all of my family members love and support my choices. So, we were talking about this feeling safe. We replace all the fear of potential condemnation that force you to behave like such a good little family member. Okay, going on. Without this excuse, what alternative thoughts would you have? So your new thought would be based exclusively on the best way to conduct your life, since you wouldn't be able to employ the family drama excuse. You'd think, I'm in a position to ask anyone I love for his and her opinion. And I can accept or reject that advice without any negative repercussions coming my way. I am free to practice any religion I choose, or none at all. And I am free to date, marry, and cohabitate with whomever I choose. I'm free to pursue any line of work, live in any location, and just plain live my life. And all of my family members love me and support my choices. This doesn't need to be fantasy. It's your mind, and you have the freedom to fill it with the thoughts you choose. This new way of thinking is immediately available to you. So just as soon as you do an excuses begone makeover on this old belief, there we go. You want to do a makeover on this old belief. So we are definitely excuses begoners, and we are definitely using our imagination to imagine the best things for us and those around us. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. When you do get a chance, please hit that like and subscribe and leave your positive comments. I would love to hear how you might have answered some of these questions. And remember to continue to work to make your life something beautiful that you want to wake up to, because everyone here is needed. And on that note too, God bless all our families. All right. Thank you for joining me, and you know what's next. And you know what's next. Peace in, peace